So we're going to bring a little bit of detail on why we are building new things while we have other things going on the farm, why we are working on new projects while we have old projects, and why time is just flying by as we have constant repairs and constant construction and constant improvement that we're working on, not to mention the constant farming model that needs to be running and improving all the time. I've seen very dodgy old buildings, workers' cottages, old houses, old farmhouses being restored from a very iffy state to a very livable state, and we do not have that advantage on the ground. This place was pure wilderness when we got here, and we're trying to keep it that way. It's a piece of land that we could afford. It had nothing on it. It didn't even have a proper road into it, other than a wagon trail that was used who knows when and how many decades ago. It was really from scratch. Our closest route to the main road is a couple of kilometers through private land, through our own land, and then through 2 other farms to get to the main road. This is a servitude kind of setup, and then the main gate brings us to a dirt road, which is then another 30 to 40 kilometers to the nearest rural town. So for shopping and buying necessities like animal feed or tools or materials, we have to go an additional 30 k's from there, so it's almost 70 kilometers to get to the nearest town. Where we are now, the cabin, the way you've come to know this channel over the last 2 or 3 years, is essentially a temporary setup. Was intended to be very small amount of time that we would spend here, but it turned out that 6 months turned into 12 months, which turned into 3 years pretty quickly. There is so much to do, so much designing to think about, the weather to monitor, and to follow the real permaculture design principles here, and to fit into the environment, to fit in with the heat and the cold and the wind. There is no lawn at the cabin, there is no permanentized shower and toilet facilities. Everything is built as a version 1 and version 2. So the cabin is not featured a lot in our videos because of its semi-permanent state, with most of the medium-term things being in crates under the cabin. This is a pain in the neck. This place is great, but whoever moves in here can apply the necessary TLC to bring it to where they would like it to be. Consider the roads the things we move on, and our own buildings the things we move on, but snakes and spiders, leopards and everything else here, as long as they stay in their domain, which is 99% of the rest of the farm, then we are happy with that. We keep our lights off at night, we do not bewilder the wildlife, and we do not disturb the neighbors with light. Even merely upward facing outside light of medium brightness can ruin the night sky for neighbors, even if they are kilometers away. So these are the things that we want to maintain and keep doing. At the bottom here, the clay mine, which you may also remember from the previous videos, this is where we want to do rehabilitation. If we strategically remove building material from the clay mine to build with, we can try to create terraces or water harvesting basins inside it and keep water around. So this is something that we have already started even before the house started. And on the topic of the house itself, which is going to be earth bag, and earth bag is famous for being extremely solid and thermally stable. Once you've heated it, it stays warm. Once it's cool, it stays cool. And for the type of winds that we have here, this is an ideal kind of building. Alexa helped me mine these foundations. I've been mining these foundations with a rotary hammer, with pickaxes, with koalas, crowbars. I've had some help here and there. The TLB started this for us by just removing the soft soil and rocks at the top line. I have started placing down the first gravel bags now that will be going up to the grade, the soil line, and these will be the test for me to see how the circle is going to work out, how much I'm going to need, and filling mechanisms and things like that. So that is the story of the old place and the new place. Service the old cedar, clean up, lubricate it, and modified one of the wheels that I've had for a while. It's a turnip wheel, but if you look there, you'll see that these holes, these sliders, are a bit larger. They are 13 millimeters, and what I've done is to drill in my own sizes there, because I've got two of these turnip wheels. So it seems that oats fit in there, sometimes one, sometimes two or three. It's better than nothing. The oats fit in there and it drops out. So I'm going to give this a test now, see how it works. So I'm going to see if I can get that cedar to work here. If it works, then I can quickly run up a few lines, spend 30 or 40 minutes getting some oat seeds in here. So I checked on the camera here, it took 2 minutes and 50 seconds to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows, about 1.5 meters wide, spaced by about 25 centimeters. So even here, there's the seeds. So it is definitely working, spacing them by 5 centimeters or so. It's actually not the best spacing for oats, but some of them are open just because it's hard here, so that's to be expected. So I think it might work. The main issue here is the dirtiness of the seeds, so this actually works very well. It's putting them in quite nicely, the spacing is fine. It covers nicely, the wheel rolls it nicely, and they're about 2 centimeters deep, which is just under an inch. So my main problem now is actually the dirtiness of the oat seeds, the scrap in here. The small bits actually fall through, that's fine. These large ones cause the wheel to get stuck, or the roller actually doesn't get stuck, but it fills that gap there, causing quite a few centimeters of no seeds before it pops out and gets replaced again. So I'm gonna have to find a way to clean my oats a bit. That wheel with the little slots in it rolls past the seed, which drops into that little slot, and as the wheel passes the bottom, it drops down. Below there's a little diverter that opens up the soil there. As you can see, it's like V-shaped. The seed is dropped into that opening, and as it is past it, this little scoop here closes the hole up and the back wheel rolls it. And the reason this saves a little bit of time on something like this, even though distributing or broadcasting seed by hand is quick. You have to cover it, and doing this by hand, raking it, closing it, that's very, very intensive, takes a lot of time, and then you have to come back and still do a little bit of rolling. So if the soil is nice and clean like this, then you can pull this through. This doesn't work if that little diverter or opening V piece there hits a rock or a twig. So there are times when I have to stop and remove a root, but it's going to save time, especially now when we're against time.